Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. We have such a special guest, Piyas Bhattacharjee, who's here to talk to us about her journey. So today's webinar is the journey of an entrepreneur. And we're really excited for her to share not only her story, but a little bit about her art as well. If you do have questions throughout the hour, certainly feel free to type them into the chat box. Piyas has dedicated some time at the end of the hour to make sure that she addresses any questions that you might have. And then also, if we just ask you to kindly stay muted throughout the hour, just so we have the best audio quality for everyone. So without further ado, I want to introduce our wonderful guest, who is an alumna of Roosevelt. Piyas is also trained at the School of Art Institute Chicago, and after obtaining her BS and MS in computer science, and she also worked in the IT field for a while before she decided to quit her job and quit her career in the technical field. And she did that because she decided to pursue her passion and really take a step forward. Pia started the journey over 6 years back when she decided to bring her love of art to other children. She started with just 4 kids and today works with over 300 students nationwide, also international. And over the course of time, her company, Paisley Academy Arts and Fabrics LLC, was born. Several of Paisley Academy Arts and Fabric students' artwork have been selected and exhibited in many public events, including one at the Indian Consulate of Chicago. Piyas also conducts in-person and virtual workshops for adults, both private and corporate, and other organizations as well. So we're very fortunate and lucky to have you joining us here today, Piyas, to share your journey. So thank you. And I will go ahead and turn it over to you to get started.
Thank you, Christy, for the introduction. Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. Om Shanti. A very good afternoon to all of you. I hope you all are doing great and having a wonderful day today. Before I start my presentation, I would like to first introduce myself. My name is Piyas Bhattacharjee. I'm a resident of Long Grove in Illinois, and I've been living here for the last 4 years with my family, which means my husband, my mom, and my 2 kids. My daughter is 12 years old and my son is 7. So today what I'm going to share with you is going to be a very personal story. My journey as an entrepreneur, which Christy has already mentioned. A little bit of my background. So I'm going to start sharing my screen now. So yeah, a little bit of my background. I was born and raised in Calcutta or Kolkata, which is a vibrant and a colorful city. I'm not sure if you have heard of that city in a diverse country, India. It is also known as the City of Joy. It's one of the most important cultural centers in India and is a home of many Nobel laureates. I was born in a middle-class family, very, very simple, ordinary, like a middle-class family in India. Only child of my parents. They were academically very inclined. So that means my parents were very, very focused on my education. Not only that, my parents had sent me for several extracurricular activities, meaning sports, music, art, dance, etc. However, art was something that stuck, that I was always drawn towards it, and I carried it throughout. And I started learning art when I was about 4 years old or so. My parents and I had, we had a wonderful relationship. We were just like 3 vertices. That's how I describe, like 3 vertices of a triangle, very dependent on each other. We did a lot of things together, like all families do, right? That's what we do with our kids, like a lot of fun things together. So, but one special thing that we quite often did was like this museum visit. Now, I went very often with my parents to these museums, to these local fests and fairs. And that probably gave me an exposure to art at a very, very young age. And if you have ever been to Calcutta, especially during the time when these fests are offered, usually during the winter time. It's a beautiful time at that time in India. The weather-wise is also very good. And what happens in this fest is that, these artisans and this people from rural community come over, artisans and weavers come over. It's a congregation of people who really, really love art, respect art. And it's a beautiful environment there. It's a beautiful ambience. So I started appreciating these handcrafts, whatever they had, this fantastic pieces of creativity. And I started adoring and loving them at a very tender age, like all these folk arts. Now, I did not know at that point, to be very honest, that such art exists in different corners of Bengal, the place that I come from, or maybe from India in general. And such talented people, but not much is known about them. Now, they're very authentic, very, very beautiful. And my life was very smooth, very healthy childhood. Everything was very fine until the point when my father passed away. That time, that was a big change in my life. As I said, we like 3 points of a triangle, very dependent. Everything turned upside down. And I couldn't take the shock. And we have a very, very loving family. And yes, so I had a feeling that my education was coming to a stop because mentally I couldn't take it. And it was very hard for me to cope up with the situation. We realized that, my mom and I realized that it was getting very harder for me to pursue. So for a little bit of a distraction, I went to Goethe Institute in Calcutta, where I went for my language classes, my German language classes, because it was a kind of a dream or a wish as a family that I would once go to Germany for studies or just to travel and see the world, and that's what it was. So soon after, I got an offer and off I went. And I went there to study computer science. And yeah, so that was my next chapter in life. This is my family, my parents, and this is a little bit of Calcutta. But Calcutta has gone through a lot of changes now, but this is a picture, very colorful. I actually wanted to show it to you. And so here it is. So my next chapter begins in Germany, in Hamburg. Yes, it was a big chapter in my life, to be very honest. Big chapter, a very important chapter, as well as a very tough chapter in life. I had to learn everything from scratch. Just like you're training a child, I was an adult, but I had to learn everything as a child. Now, I had to literally learn some small examples, like in India, we walk on the left side of the street, right? And here in Germany, I had to learn how to walk on the right side of the street. I did not know the language. Everything was unknown to me. I didn't have a single friend at the very beginning, did not know anyone in Hamburg at that time. The initial years were very difficult, very crucial, but I think today it was very, very important for me. I did not know the language, although I did speak a little bit, but that wasn't enough to survive. So it was just like, I was thrown in cold water. Either I had 2 options, either I swim across or I drown. So the best option was to swim across. But a huge culture shock. I did not understand the emotions of the people, the expressions of the people. It was very hard. And on top of that, I had to study what I had to study and, everything, like a normal student life. Hurdles came one after the other. But there was only one thing in my mind that I knew, that I'm not going to make a U-turn. So I was very determined because that would have been a huge failure in life. But today I realized that all those problems and all those hurdles that I went through today, probably that was the practical education that I had, which I can implement today, what I'm doing today. So we'll slowly come. And that was very important. However, art was something that was kind of escape for me during all those hardships. It was a way of somehow finding joy. It was like a therapy for me. It always helped me. It always accompanied me and never left me. So the next chapter is fast forward. I got married to my husband, who I knew several years before getting married. And yes, and then I landed here in Chicago. And good that I was living in downtown Chicago, which had a lot of opportunities. When I came here to the United States, I was not allowed, my visa did not allow me to work here, but I was allowed to study. And the good thing was that I started taking classes at the School of the Arts Institute of Chicago. What a great opportunity, right? Wonderful experience. Everything was fabulous. Life was too, I would say, too easy, but boring, because I did not have much to do the initial years, because you're not allowed to work. So I was trying to find different ways of staying engaged. I did not have kids at that time and no work. Only what I could do is that get engaged, either by studying, that's what I did, took classes, and I started participating slowly over time, different community events. Since I am a Bengali, I come from Bengal, Calcutta. Therefore, I started getting more involved in just different community events. And anytime there was a need for some sort of an artwork where, there was a fest there, they wanted me to do something, to volunteer, I happily did it. And also with my meditation center, I will show you in some of the slides later. And this is how my family is, my current family, my mom, my husband, my 2 kids. However, since I studied computer science, that cannot be wasted. So I wanted to see what I could do with that here. And I went to Roosevelt, and to be very honest, it welcomed me, wholeheartedly. It was a wonderful experience from day one. From day one, I had a great experience at Roosevelt. The academic advisor was extremely welcoming. She was so helpful. She assisted me, as well as the department, the professors there, and they were eager to know what credits could be transferred. So many of my credits that I did prior to joining Roosevelt were transferred. So luckily, I could save a lot of my time. So finally, I complete my BS in computer science with a math minor and academic excellence. And after that, I did my master's also from Northeastern here later on. So I had a very supportive family from the very beginning. My husband has supported me a lot in my education. He's also a person from IT, and very academically also very inclined. So he did really support me a lot in that. And so this is a slide that I wanted to share. This is where I participated. The picture on the right side is that where this is all my pieces of art that I displayed for the Bengali community here when there was a fest here, the festival. And the smaller picture that you see is for my meditation center. There was a fest in summertime, and there was a stall there where I could showcase my pieces of art. And I knew that, genuinely that I had real love for it. So it always came to me. It was always with me. Now, yes. Now, after I earn all my degrees, the next step is obviously getting a job, right? Now, yes, I started looking for a job, and I got the job also. It was pretty easy for me to get the job. The interview wasn't that super great, but I was, I was selected. And yes, now next what happens is I started working, and I was trying to think whether this was really the thing that I was looking for. So I soon realized, in a short period of time that probably not this. What I was waiting for, what I had longed for, to work in an IT company. So I never looked forward to the next day of working. So it was not something that was, that did not help me much. Everything was good. The company was good, and everything was fine. It was only that I probably was not meant for the job, or the job was not meant for me, or both. So I realized that I don't think I'm going to stick there very long. Now, what am I going to do? So I wasn't feeling, everybody said, no, this is how it happens. But I realized that, no, I cannot stick. I was not being able to show myself. It's not something that belongs to me, I felt. And that was a time when my daughter was very little, and she was asking me, Mom, why don't you give art classes to me? Just, to her. And then soon I realized that, why don't I start giving art classes in general? Then what happened is I resigned, and I started teaching art. And I started this journey with 4 kids, and that too, the people that I knew more or less a little bit. And I started teaching with 4 kids, and slowly it started growing. The parents recognized, or probably realized, they were enjoying the classes, the kids were learning something. And so these parents started letting others know, their friends know, and the people in the community or the neighbors know. And that's how the number from 4 became 40, from 40 to 100, and today we are blessed that I have over 300 students. So it was a huge shift. And that's how my passion became my profession. And in the last few years, my company, our company, I would say, is always, I say it as Paisley Academy Arts and Fabrics LLC was born. I treat it as my third child. I treat it with a lot of care. I give it proper attention. I make sure that I develop well, and also the whole team. That means kids as well, who are all a part of the team. Now, in that time, in the last 6 years, we got our website developed. We got our Facebook page developed. There are quite a number of people who follow our page. And I manage all these daily tasks, everything, so single-handedly, pretty much. So besides teaching art, which is now kind of a routine thing that doesn't need a lot of effort, and I also have to manage everything, starting from marketing, starting from letting others know how we can expand, how the kids can get more exposure, everything, or anything that you can think of, except for a little bit of help that I do have at the back end for my accounts, a little bit of an admin team. However, everything I have to manage. Now, there was a student who moved from a local, she was actually a local student who moved to another state. And her mom kept on telling me, why don't you start online classes? Because my daughter is missing you a lot. But I really did not want to, because already I had a lot on my plate to handle. And how could I add another thing? But I'm grateful to her that she was the one who actually showed me the different way of seeing things, probably. Initially, I was completely declined that. But 3.5 years back, which was before the pandemic, I started doing this online classes. And soon I realized that the number was growing and the people were calling me, because I'm the person who also attends phone calls, So the number was growing. People from Texas were calling me, from California, here and there. And that's how it started growing. And therefore, the transition which happened during the pandemic, 1.5, 2 years back, it was a very easy transition for me. Now we have students from all over, whether it's from California, New Jersey, New York, Texas, even international. We also have few international students. So this is how my typical class kind of looks like. You can see that it's a group of 25 kids right now. I mean, this one batch. The groups are pretty, it's a big size class. Some of them a little small, but in general, we have this kind of a class. And yeah, so this is how an online class looks like. Although we do have two locations, there's in Long Grove and the other is in Schaumburg, but right now we are closed because of this. And right now we are operating completely online. Okay, now the services that we do, in general, what I do. Besides, as you know, as I already mentioned, that we do classes for kids, which is going pretty fine. There are other things that I'm also focused on. One is preserving and promoting ancient Indian art. As I already mentioned that, folk art was something that was already, I was in love with folk art at a very young age. I was exposed to it. So that's something I do. Right now, my main goal is also to teach adults, also to promote this type of art, whether it's through private workshops, which I do once a while thing. And I also do a lot of corporate workshops. So these help me to promote, to preserve, to let others know about the cultural heritage of India. And see, now this country, America, is a beautiful country. It's a great country because people sometimes came to this country, right? Somewhere from the other side or other parts of the world. And for me, since I come from India, as an immigrant's mind, you would like to bring something from your soil. This is my adopted country right now. Of course, I love it, but my roots are there. So I feel really, it's a great pleasure when I let people know about this type of art, when I'm conducting a session like this. There's a lot of satisfaction involved in that. So yes. So Europe is very beautiful. Germany was beautiful. And now I have traveled quite a bit in Europe, not only Germany, but other parts of Europe. The colorful streets in Europe always resonated with my artistic mind. So this was a picture I wanted to share. This is from France, Lyon, and beautiful. And these murals were very, very interesting, very funny, very interesting. And just a few months back, we got a studio built in my backyard, in a humble studio. My idea is to, because those things I already witnessed, and those murals. Now, my idea is that I would one day, probably next year, next summer, if everything goes fine, paint the exterior walls with my, with the traditional Indian art, things that I do. So that's the idea. So that's my next goal. The idea was to do it this summer, but things did not work out because I was too busy. And so that's the next thing. Now we got that built, and that's what I intend to do. Now, obviously, a lot of obstacles came in the way, and obstacles are common. They are natural. They will come. I'm sure that we always come across obstacles, whether it's the situations, for example, marketing. How do I connect to the right person? How do I expand? How do I improve the skills? Everything. There's always, sometimes even language becomes an obstacle, right? Different time zones. And on top of that, also people. Sometimes people also stood on the way. There were people who were probably not very encouraging in the beginning. They stood in the way. There are people who might pull you down a little bit. It happens. We must have all experienced such situations. And there's backbiters who probably will not understand initially. But I always say backbiters should always have a back seat, not a front seat. So anyways, and I consider these obstacles just like friction. Like we need friction to walk, right? We always need friction to walk. We need friction to run. And if you have to fly and fly high, I'm sure we all need friction. So what I think, and what I say myself is, yeah, these are just friction. I just have to let go. I just have to understand that there's a friction, and that's needed, probably to improve, probably to, to go over this. I mean, I have to overcome, right? So, and that sometimes shows you differently. Like one can think also quite differently when these frictions or these situations happen. But it's a beautiful world. There are more good people in the world. That's what I have seen and I have experienced. So there are a lot of people that came on the way that were ready to help. Not that I've met them. I met not everybody I met, or I met few of them. And, they just came like that, just to help, gave me advices to think differently, to think in a new way. So there were a lot of these people who came on the way to help me, and that's how we grew. It's all happened because people helped me along the way. A lot of people, actually, not just one or two, many of them. I strongly believe in karma. I'm sure you have heard of the name karma. It's like one's actions and one's thoughts should be very pure. We all make mistakes. That's what I think. I have made lots of mistakes. That's very common. And however, my actions and thoughts should be nice, good and pure. And I believe strongly that if we all have good intentions, good actions, and our thoughts are pure, then definitely good things will happen. It's just like Newton's third law. If you want to explain in terms of science, to every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So I always try to keep that, and I try as much as I can. So meditation has always been, something that saves me and guided me. I started practicing Raja Yoga meditation from the Brahma Kumaris when I was pregnant with my daughter, a little over 12 years now. That has really helped me to release not only my stress, but also to manage my work, in practical, if I think practically now. Yes, therapeutic, of course, we all know that it helps, the benefits of meditation, but also at the same time, I've used the study. I've used the points that I have learned as a student, as a meditation student. For example, Raja Yoga says that you manage your own self. So now it's much easier to manage one's own self rather than managing, because we don't have any control on others, right? So that's what I try to. It's not always very easy. I definitely agree that it's not very easy, but I try at least. And now with practice, it has become much easier. And there are two things which I really, really want to point out. One is minimize waste thoughts and to have a clutter-free mind. Now, these are practices that my teacher actually taught me during meditation practices, that if my mind is clear and I have a clutter-free mind and I have less of waste thoughts, then probably my positive energy will be diverted to something that is very creative, something I can use my energy in a positive manner. So that has definitely helped me. So I have always used those strategies to overcome any sort of obstacles that came on the way in general. So, yes, that's what I wanted to say again. I had tried to train the inner self because everything comes from within. This is a nice virtue wheel, which I spin when I go to the center. That always reminds me of a lot of these many virtues that we can see of patience, determination, toleration, and all of that. So I kind of remind myself that I need these strengths in order to work or to manage things. Toleration is very important, and also patience. Yeah, so those are the things I keep reminding myself now and then. Yeah, by doing all this, I have learned how to overcome little by little. Not always it's easy, but it has certainly helped me. And to stay light, to let go of things that are not really needed. And over time, one becomes probably also a little thick-skinned. and that's easy to fly high. So we have grown, as I mentioned already, that we have grown very organically. It was completely by the word of mouth. And also that I have definitely used social media. I do not have a lot of marketing strategies. I have not done any courses in marketing, nothing like that. And it simply went by the word of mouth. And however, my computer science, like whatever study, like, software engineering skills, I have small, it's not directly related, but in a way I have used those strategies into my work. Now, in software engineering, you come across the different, the software development life cycle, right? All the different phases. For example, from planning, then comes all that analysis and testing and implementation and all that's involved. So I have used those strategies on my regular basis. For example, I do not plan a lot. I don't plan 2 years from today. I plan small. I plan in a very simple manner. I test it and I see what is possible to do, what we cannot do, or if you really want to do, what other ways of doing it. And also, if you're computer science students, we all know about if then else strategy. So if not this, then what? If I have encountered a problem, this is not working, what should I do next? So that bit kind of really helped me to develop further. Now, I believe as a teacher or as an instructor, it's also very important. A teacher or an instructor also should be a very good student, meaning, there should always be a willingness to learn. Otherwise, growth will stop. So I have the desire to learn. I participate in many different events that make sense to me, which I think, yes, I can learn in general. So yes, I try to keep myself, growing. That's how I think, in my case, it at least works. So to be very precise, exactly the type of art, when you say Indian art, is very vague. Now, the things that I mainly focus on is Kalamkari, and another form of art is Batik. I will let you know a little bit more in detail in the next few slides. So yes, Kalamkari. The word Kalamkari actually comes from two main words. Kalam, which means the pen, and Kari is the craft. It's basically an art using pen, but not really the regular types of pen that we know. These are these type of pens, these. So these are typical Kalamkari pens, which I really wanted to show you. So here. Now, there are two different styles of Kalamkari. One is the Srikalahasti style, and the other is the Machilipatnam. Yeah, it's a 3,000-year-old art, and it comes from the southern part of India. And it's a very intricate, very detailed work. This is mainly done on cotton or on, silk fabric, and everything uses natural. So all the colors or all the dyes that are used are all very naturally obtained from it's all obtained from nature. So it's a very tedious process, which involves 23 steps, and that's a lot to do with your, not only drawing, and then comes dyeing and washing and all that stuff. Okay. Now, the designs in Kalamkari can vary from Paisley to birds, from peacocks, and also from characters from the mythology. And currently, we see that in Indian outfits, on the saris and other Indian outfits. The history that I already mentioned is a 3,000-year-old art, and it was, the samples are found in the archaeological sites of Mohenjo-daro, so we can understand how old it is, how ancient that is. And it really needs to be preserved, I feel. So centuries ago, many hundred years back, these folk singers and these painters, they used to travel from one village to another. They used to narrate stories and, sing songs. And that's probably how the art came into existence. So this is something I wanted to really share. You can see, even if you do not understand all the characters that are here, but at least you can see how detailed it is, how intricate the work is. It can take many days, several days to finish a project, depending on the complexity of the work. These are all using natural colors. This is a typical Kalamkari art. Yeah. So this is how people, they work together. Here's the one woman you can see here. She is engaged in her whatever, a piece of art. And there are a lot of people who work on one project at times. Many people are involved. The technique is very interesting. First, the cloth has to be well washed in water, so that it's completely free of starch. Then the cloth is treated. And the cloth is treated using myrobalan, which is actually obtained from nature. It's a plant base, and buffalo milk. The reason why buffalo milk is used is because of the high fat content. Now, once the cloth is dry, then comes the sketching process. The sketching process, it means not typical pencils that we know, but the pencil, the charcoal, is actually a charcoal that is obtained from burnt tamarind branches. After that, once the drawing is done, then comes the inking process. The ink is very interesting. It is actually a fermented solution of jaggery, water, and rusted iron. So it has to be soaked over multiple days, 2 to 3 weeks, and then the ink is formed, which then is used to do the outlines. Then comes, the alum process and many other applications for the dyeing. For example, red, yellow, blue. Blue is from indigo, yellow from pomegranate rind, madder from, red for madder, I mean. And there are a lot of these, process washing and drying and boiling and so on and so forth in between. So this is me that I'm doing here a Kalamkari art. Like this is how the cloth is soaked in buffalo milk after the cloth has been treated. That's what I'm trying to say. And that's where I'm drawing. So this is Kalamkari pens, which I just showed you. And that's also in the photograph. That's the boiling process. Now, there's another type of art that I just mentioned I'm very involved in, that's batik. Batik is another type of art which is very common in Asia, for example, in Java, Indonesia, that side, and also, of course, in India and Malaysia, around that part of the world. Now, batik involves, you use resist, the wax is actually used as a resist, and there are a lot of these, then comes the dyeing process, which is very interesting. You have this beautiful, naturally created cracks because you're using this wax. Now, my idea is to bring this Kalamkari art, the motif, and doing it in batik. So this is something that I'm working on. There are other ideas also that I have, which now these are the pieces that I have created, and I can show you one I have here. A couple of them I actually have here. So, for example, this is the one that you see in the photograph. That's one here, the swan. This is all Kalamkari art, but done in batik. And then I also have other pieces here. For example, this one. So I don't know if you can see. I hope you do see. So yes, but the photograph you can see that these are all done on cotton. These are all in textile cotton. Now these are like samples, testing, trying it, because the temperature is also different. And in general, just checking, and I just do it because I love it. And then there's also this contemporary style. So I'm trying to bring different elements together and trying to see what we can do and what can be done. And so this is another one, which is using by thousands of dots. Thousands means several thousands probably. I couldn't count. So this is another one here that took me, these take quite a number of days, essentially several hours of work, depending on how many, how detailed. It's a small piece of fabric actually. So this is actually all batik done by using dots from using wax. So there's another sample here. So now the wonderful thing, whatever I do here, I have a small boutique. Now the idea is that I would like to, although I do get I have got a lot of things from the weavers in India, and I have collected them. But I also want to bring my own creativity, where I can, then show my creativity. There's more satisfaction in that, and then work also with the weavers or the other artists. We'll see how that goes. So it's a wonderful thing when all the rural community in India can be engaged in. For example, as I mentioned, the weavers, the artisans, a lot of women, and handicrafts is something that, a lot of people are involved. Many of the livelihood is involved in that. So it would be a wonderful thing if a lot of people can get engaged, and it feels also great, So we'll see how that all can be done and achieved. This was me in when I was visiting one of the weavers in Bengal, and I'm sitting on the loom here. I do not know how to weave. It was just, I just wanted to feel how it feels like, and just, so there are a lot of women that are a lot of women involved in this industry. And here there's also another gentleman though. So this is another, it's in the Met Museum here. Dates like 1640 to 1650. This is a high quality, as you can see, a museum piece of art, Kalamkari, which is there. So I really wanted to add this on my slide because I wanted to share it. It's beautiful, and it's all naturally obtained, everything done by hand. There's no print, nothing. So another form of Kalamkari that is I really appreciate and I really like is that it's called Kalamkari from Gujarat. Now that is from the Kalamkari from Gujarat, which is another state. Although Kalamkari is mainly from the southern part of India, but Kalamkari from Gujarat is Matani Pachedi, and it's quite similar. This traditional, it's about 500 years old. This Kalamkari from Gujarat, and but this one, but original, this is also original, but the other one which I was mentioning the entire time is a 3,000-year-old. Matani Pachedi and Kalamkari, the 3,000-year Kalamkari, are very similar. They are different because the stories are very different. The art is very different. The motifs are very different. The style. There are some differences. There are many differences, but there are some similarities. The patterns and history are very, very, very different. So this is how modern Kalamkari looks in the fashion world. So you can see that. And this is how it looks. Yes, so I just wanted to show that to you all. So as I already mentioned, I have done, and I really try to promote this type of art through different workshops, whether I'm doing a private workshop or whether I'm doing a corporate workshop. This was my first one in 2019 before the pandemic. It was for Baxter Healthcare, Baxter. So I'm really, really grateful that I got that opportunity to do it in person. It was a wonderful experience. I really have to say that I got in touch with the people. You can see that not everybody knows what Indian art is. Everybody enjoyed it. It was a wonderful group. People got together. There were men also, not everybody's covered here in the picture. There were men on the other side, and I remember very well. They all asked me different types of questions. It was a wonderful experience, sharing ideas, and creating a piece of art. When we do these type of workshops, obviously we cannot do it on a piece of cloth, right? That is a tedious process. The motifs are used in Kalamkari motifs and done it on a canvas. And then I do the presentation. And so that's how people get to know a little bit more about the Kalamkari in that session. It was a wonderful one, yeah. So this is one picture of my private workshop. I'm connected to many of them. This is it was just before the pandemic. I had 50 ladies, all ladies though, 50 ladies attend the event at one day, 50 ladies, 50. They were like 24 in the morning, 26 in the evening, something like that. And it was a wonderful experience before everything closed down, right, before the pandemic. So here you can see more pictures. So this is another one. I really, really have to share this piece of story. Now, as I already mentioned, there are many good people that I came across. One is here. So as I said, Kalamkari needs, for Kalamkari, we need buffalo milk because of the high fat content. Although I live in a place very close to Buffalo Grove, I mean, Long Grove is very close to Buffalo Grove, but no trace of buffalo milk was available. So I couldn't find buffalo anywhere, no buffalo milk. So I was thinking, buffalo milk is probably very easily available because it's Buffalo Grove. Maybe I just have to look a little bit and search, but really nothing was there. We need water buffaloes for the milk. So somehow, like through connecting, I kept on trying, and somehow I came across this gentleman. His name is Jose. And yes, and then he said yes, he was willing to send. He has never sent that far. Like he's not from this state. He's from Colorado. Now he said yeah, he would be interested in sending it. Now I bought that milk. Now the problem was sending the milk because he had to ship it, right? I mean, he had to send it. It's an overnight service or something like that. And he told me that it would cost me like $200, $250 for the courier service, for the service. So I told Jose, just wait a little bit because I really have to think twice or a little bit more before we send it over. But Jose was very interested. Like when he heard about Kalamkari, I had a few conversations before that. He was so fascinated that he said, I'm going to send it to you, and that's going to be for my pocket. That's what it was, a gift from him. So Jose sent that milk all the way from Colorado here. So the people I've never met, I have never yet met him. And as a thank you gesture, I wanted to send this painting to him. Now I'll let you know a little bit about the painting. When we were having this conversation, Now, one of his buffaloes was actually expecting a baby. And 2 weeks after we had a conversation, and that baby calf, that calf arrived. And Jose was so fascinated by the word Kalamkari and the art in general that he Googled so much. And so he named the baby, that calf, Kalamkari. So this painting that I sent Jose, this is the original picture. You can see the, Kalamkari, the little baby, that calf and the mother buffalo. And here is my painting in Kalamkari. So I say that Kalamkari in Kalamkari style. So it was my little bit as a thank you gesture, or out of joy, I would say. It was from a little gift from my side to him that went all the way to him, to Colorado. So yes, it was in 2019 that we last had our exhibition. Now this again, back to our students. We had over 500, 600 people, I think about 600 people. It was a public event, and it was a very, very good one. It went very well with a lot of people actually volunteered, a lot of parents, students with moms and dads, they volunteered and made it a success. We had the guest of honor from the Indian Consulate, and everything went very well before everything shut down. So we are waiting for the next one. Hopefully next year, we will be able to do another one, a similar one. So besides these workshops, these corporate workshops or private workshops, I always am interested to do other types of work with other people. For example, one we did for the senior living. It wasn't Kalamkari because it would have been a little bit harder for for seniors, maybe those who are so for the senior living, and it was also a good one to do for another NGO here. And yes, and there was a local recognition. This is not really related to this, but I added it all together in the photograph. In the slide, yeah. So yes, Baxter was very happy with our workshop when I went in person in 2019, I think. Yes, 2019. So they called me again in 2020. It was a great one because they called me again. Call me again means we did that, they invited me they gave me that opportunity to do another Kalamkari session for the employees. So we did that online. It was again very well. So our workshop, whether we have done it private or whether we have done it corporate, have always been well appreciated and well accepted. And yes, that was a good one, a very good experience. We have done like multiple workshops for Baxter, not 2020, and then we did another one a few months back, I think. So yes, yeah, like three of them I think I have done so far. 3 or 4, 3 I think, yeah. So yes, I also got an opportunity to do a workshop for ABDI, a corporate workshop that went very well as well. We were highly appreciated. This is all done after things during the pandemic. So I think by now I did for ABDI already like 3 or 4 again. So I always need feedback because that always helps to develop, and so that you can design or you can plan your next one even better. So I already need. So this is one that was sent to me, and it looked good. And so I have a plan on. There's another one that's upcoming. The next one is for ABDI in the month of November. So we'll see how that goes. Yeah, since I love Kalamkari, so obviously you understand that I have an inclination towards natural dyeing, and this was like I created some designs and patterns for like scarves and small samples, all using natural colors. This is like using indigo. Now I'm my center, my Brahma Kumari Center has actually been a blessing, obviously. So it was a blessing, a true blessing that I could volunteer. I could do as a service a Kalamkari session, like not one, I think a few. One was for Chicago Center, and the other one was for the headquarters in New York. So I put these pictures all together. So there was another Kalamkari session for the Brahma Kumari's Meditation Center. Now, as you know, pandemic has hit us very badly. All of us have been affected. Everyone, every part of the world. Now here, then the artisans have been badly affected in India. So we tried in our own ways to support the artisans who I'm in touch with, in contact with. You can see this mat that they have created, all using, traditional art. This is from Matani Pacheri mats and all that. Yeah, so there is another one we are trying to think because I'm very fond of handcrafted items, handicraft. So this is another one which we are right now planning a little bit. It's just at the very initial phase, absolute initial phase. Now this you can see that it's all from date leaves. We eat the fruit like dates, right? So these are from date leaves, and we are trying to I'm trying to make something out of date leaves that I was talking to the person that I'm in contact with. Now, how about we make bells from date leaves? How we can use these scraps in general to not only just as a piece of show, but also on things that we would need on a regular basis. How about a bell? And the lady that I'm in touch with, she has never heard of that before. And that's what we are trying to see if that we can do. So there's a picture here. This is all like a trial phase right now. We are just testing and seeing if these things we can do. So this is another type of stitching, very popular in India, Bengal especially. And Dokra is also another type of very, very old traditional lost wax process of metal casting, actually. Which I have here. So my idea is that in my boutique, not only that I will be having my own creations, but also probably collecting from these items. We'll see how that all goes. Yeah, we have been highly supported by the Indian Consulate here in Chicago. Here's a picture with the Consul General here, Mr. Amit Kumar, and here Mr. Dalila. He was there previously as a Consul General. I had gone in person there in a meeting there and a couple of meetings. And they have been highly supportive, of our initiative, of things that I do, what I'm trying to do, or, yes, they have been highly supportive. And so, yes, I wanted to add that. Thanks to the Consulate in Chicago. And yes, that was last year for the embassy, for the Indian embassy, which is in Washington. I got an offer to offer online classes. So I had offered like about, I think, more than 10, I think, sessions, which were like live sessions for the Indian embassy. You will see some of these videos. I believe the videos are still there on their Facebook page. So that was a great thing. That was a great opportunity for me. I really enjoyed doing those sessions. I really wanted to add that here as well. So all these personal ideas and that you have heard, my ideas is to, I would again repeat, the idea is that I would like to bring my own creativity and also work with people in India, especially the rural community, the artisans, the weavers, and we'll see how they can work together as a team. I would also definitely love to work with people here because I am, as I mentioned, I'm almost single-handedly doing everything. We'd like to do something here, so we would need a lot of collaboration and people who would be ready to work with us or help us and see what we can do here. Because now I realize I need a small team, because it's getting a bit too much now slowly. I'm very happy, but at the same time, we need more hands. Yes, art for me is very therapeutic. It has always helped me throughout in tough times, and I've always have felt very good. Especially, these I have had students. I still have. Students when their parents tell me that, oh, art has really helped my child to focus. I'm not a therapist. I have no knowledge how it works. But it is a big joy when you hear a mom saying that a child has been benefited or is able to focus a bit more, and handwriting has been things like that. They look forward to the classes. They send me beautiful messages. Children send me good, like a voice message or something like that. It's just pure joy that I can tell you for sure. It comes from the bottom of the heart. It is very difficult to explain, but you can just feel it when you get a message like that. Maybe just 2-3 sentences, but to me, it's a big reward. So I would like to see if we can do art and help people, those who really might need it. For example, prison service. I have contacted one of the prisons here. Haven't been able to do it successfully yet because of all the pandemic and all that stuff that we are going through right now. And we'll see if art can be served to more people, because it has helped me during my tough times. I realized it. It has helped many people. I'm sure I have had workshops where ladies came and said they were feeling low because they were going through a tough time in their life. And they had such a wonderful experience, like few hours working with us. So there is no joy in, you don't experience joy unless you share it with others. And we would like to have more women, more men. Yes, from different corners. We'll see how that all goes. and how we can make it happen. So as I've been a science student always all my life, I believe science and art, they're not mutually exclusive. They're all coming from the same tree. My interest is to know how does art really help? Which part of the brain is being triggered? And as I said, I'm not a therapist, and I do not know, but I know it does help. But that's something I probably have to go to school again for, to know how art does help us. Why is it? Why do we enjoy doing something that we do? And that's something, if we are passionate about doing something, I think no matter how hard the journey is, it's still possible to stay, and you can hold on to it until it's forced on me. So that's how, I probably will one day go back to school to take some classes and see why and how things are happening, what's happening in the brain. So yes, that's all I wanted to say. This is my contact information. You see my phone number here, and I would love to collaborate with people to get to know more about how we could get in contact with many others, collaborate with more people, and we can build maybe a small team or whatever is needed. And so I just wanted to add this lovely quotation: "Woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep, and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep." That's from Robert Frost. So yes, this is my Facebook page. Please do follow us. And this is my website. It's still under construction. It's still there. You can go on our website, but it's not updated because I do not. I don't do that. So that was pretty much it from my end. And so if you have any questions, please do ask me. Whoever is there, if there are any questions.
You did have a question come in. Yes, that said, please share how this art journey and expression of creativity through entrepreneurship has helped you in your personal growth and evolution, which I think you touched on a little bit, but also has there been any impact on your kids and your family?
Yes, it has. Yeah, thank you. It's in two different ways. Initial journey was very hard, because my family did not understand what I was about to do, because all of a sudden I was waiting for my master's to complete here, and I was waiting for to start working. And that's what even I knew until that point. But I all of a sudden took a different turn. Now, definitely it was very hard for my family to adjust with my schedule, because my classes that I do on a regular basis, that I meet all these 300 students every week. That means I have classes every evening, almost every evening. So this means my husband, who's a big supporter of mine, yes, I'm really very thankful that he has managed the entire family. My mother is here. She tremendously helps, because domestic help is something, of course we have to work. I have to feed the kids, and they all have to go to bed at the right time, and because they have to go to school. So they have to be helped through their, for their studies and education and all that. So my husband has been a huge supporter. He is a very big supporter. Without him, this wouldn't have happened. So family support, I believe, is very important. Yes. And but now, since we are getting used to this kind of, a routine life, it has become a little bit easier. Even I contribute also to the family, not that I do not. But yes, but there's a lot of support from my family. Yes, that's the question that it was. I don't know.
Yeah, it takes a village. Another question was asked: have you considered training more teachers or create a Kalamkari art teacher certification class?
Yeah, Kalamkari, in that case, I have probably not thought yet. But in general teaching art, yes, we did have one trainee, a young student, and I was trying it out with her last year. She was fantastic with kids. I did a couple of, I interviewed her, talked to her, and it was wonderful. She was in Chicago. But the problem was because of the internet. Her internet did not work very well. But we would love to have more teachers, and I would love to have more people in the team. But Kalamkari is something which probably will take a little bit of time for me to include more teachers. But eventually, yes, of course. So as I already mentioned, I do not plan like 2 years from now, or I plan a little small and simple. And maybe after a few months, I would feel that, yes, it is needed, and let's look for someone and or more people.
That's wonderful. You have so many amazing plans on the horizon. So it was great to hear what's coming from you. Any other questions from the audience? We have a few more minutes before we wrap up. Well, I have to say, this was just such an amazing hour. Thank you for sharing your story. As someone else commented, it's certainly a beautiful story, an inspiring story. It was great to hear how art has really just been this fixture right in your life, and you made it a part of your career as well, and are giving back to the community in such, I think, thoughtful and meaningful ways. And I have to say, you're an amazing storyteller, which I guess I shouldn't be too surprised with your creative mind. I loved hearing your story as you just really brought to us, and educated us about Kalamkari and Batik art. It's just absolutely fascinating. So thank you so much for joining us today and sharing.
I would really thank you so much, Christy. I really thank all the people who have joined here and spent the last 1 hour with me and with us, and they have invested the time. I know some people have joined from India, which is pretty late there, and also from Germany. So of course here as well. I really thank everybody who took the time out for to listen to me, and I'm really, really thankful, Christy, to Roosevelt for giving this platform to you, especially, as well as your entire team, the alumni team. It was a great platform that I could, say something that I had wanted to say for a long time. And it's a great platform. Thank you for the opportunity.
Of course. We're so proud of everything that you're doing and proud of you. And we're grateful that you lended an hour to us today. So thank you. And thank you again to all of our guests for joining us from different parts of the world. It was great to come together and to hear your story and the impact that you're making on the world.
Thank you so much.
Well, I think we don't have any more questions, just a ton of praise in the chat to you. Folks just sharing their gratitude for workshops and classes that they've joined, and that this was a very interesting and enlightening presentation. So thank you again.
Yeah, it would be very nice to get in touch with more people in building, a team and looking for avenues to explore more in this field. And by everybody's blessings and good wishes, hopefully we'll make small progress forward.
You will, and the contact information is here, right? These are the best ways to get in touch with you. All right, well, wonderful. Thank you again, Piyas. We appreciate you and are so grateful that you joined us today. Have a wonderful afternoon, everyone, or evening, depending on where you're at, or morning.
Thank you so much, everyone.